So today we'll see the life cycle of view object. So this is the app delegate where I'm created a window. So allocate a frame for window by capturing the screen size and adding and making visible. So later I created UI view sub. So this is one of the class, is a subclass of UI view. If you look at here, it's a subclass of UI view. The subclass of UI view, and this subclass is having a just we use layout subuse. It's one of the method we overridden, and we overridden one of the method init with frame, which returns an argument as identical object. It's like dynamic typing. And layout subuse, I overridden another method, and there is another method like draw rect. So these methods are life cycle methods of view. We can say that we can call it as a life cycle methods. So init with frame, this method will use to initialize an object with a specific frame. So we can initialize a view object with a specific frame. This is layout subuse method. We use this method to provide a specific layout for all the sub objects of the UI view. For example, one view can be used to arrange the multiple different objects. So it can be label, or it can be text field, or we can add any kind of view objects on another view. So in that scenario, for example, my objective is to design one login page. So I can use this layout subuse. I can add those objects with the different frames. So I can define the frames of a subuse which needs to be presented in this class. So it's such a reason I can use it. It's like the name itself, we can identify the layout, the subuse. Layout in the sense arranging the frames and making a hierarchy, just which frame comes top and which frame comes later, and it's based on that layout we can adjust. And the subuse layout will do it. And set needs display, this is one of the method. We use this method to display the view elements. So before display any view elements, if you would like to recall it again, if you would like to reload a view display, then we'll use this method, set needs display. So if you want to do some display needs to be recalled, then we use this method. So there is a method draw rect. So this method is used to make any drawings in a view itself. So the class UI view sub is a subclass of UI view. So this UI view subclass, we override a method draw rect. So this is the standard method of UI view. So this method will be used to perform any custom drawings. So custom drawings in the sense like you can draw any graphs or charts or any lines, or if you want to do something with core level like some core graphics, so we use this. The argument you can see like a CG rect, it's related to core graphics rectangle. So we use this method to make any custom drawings. So this is a method we use if you want to like if you want to reload a view display, we use this method. So whatever the details are required, we add in this method, so that will be recalled. So if you want to recall, if you would like to redisplay it, so reload the display, then we use this method. So the way of usage, layout subuse, we have to use this method if you want to make any subuse layout, how it is required, the alignments. So such kind of activities if you would like to do with the sub objects of this view, we use this layout subuse method. So init with frame, this method is used to create a current class object. Let's see. So I created an object for UI view sub by allocating memory with alloc method and use like init with frame. So here I can here I passed a frame CG rect make with a specific like a origin 1010 and width is 100 and height is 100. So created a view object. So later I added this view object. So these are like optional properties. I created a blue color. So it's a center. The center of the view. Yesterday I told like what's the center it refers. So any view, the center point will be the center. So when you want to get a center, the center value will be returned. Every view returns the center value with respect to its super view. So center point is always related to the super view of the current view. So it returns the same, like I want to give a center of this view is equal to the window center. So I want to present this view as a center of the window. So when you have more than one object, here the same class initialized with two objects instantiated twice. If you see, the UI view sub is instantiated twice. The one is with VW and one is with VW1. So these two objects are added to the window, the same window. So now if I want to identify these elements uniquely, so I need one unique identifier. So for that you can use a tag. Tag is a property. You can use this property to uniquely identify the subviews of a view. Here the window is having two subviews. If I want to identify each subview uniquely, you can give one tag value. So the tag value will be your unique ID we use to identify the subviews. So here the view W is like a blue color view. Blue view ID is 120 and red view ID is 100. If you want to hide a view, then we can use like a hidden property. If you hidden S, it will be hidden. If it is hidden no, then it will be visible. So let's see what happens. So we're not calling these methods, just override these methods from the UI view. I'm executing this sample. So first is initialized with set needs display twice, and later it's moved to init with frame. After allocation, it's called like set needs display, and it's so I initialized another object. Now I return that. Now it's coming to add subview, so I add it to the window and fill the color. So color is related to the display property, so again it's called the set display, and what's up, and you can see like creating another instance width and height. Now again init with frame and set needs display is fired. So when I change the color again, set needs display, this method is fired. So if I want to make it hidden yes or no, so there is no thing with this. So window, I'll open this. There is no view object is added. So here, if you see, like, we created two view on instances for UI view subclass. So VW is a one object and VW1 is one object. He allocated and initialized the frame and added to window, and given a background color filled with blue color. So this is a blue color view. So this is the red color view. So inside this view object, if you go for this, so this view object is having, I created another view. It's having one more property. It's like UI view. It's having one more sub view. So inside of it, so whenever the frame is initialized, so I allocated the memory for inner view, and when the layout subview method is called, so just I make one layout for the view. So whatever the view is having the same origin, I'm giving the origin. Since it is a bounds, I'm taking the bounds. So every bounds frame origin is always 0. So the x and y is 0, and width and height of the specific view, the inside this view sub is off of the super view. So for example, if it is 100 by 100, so the size is became 50 by 50. So and it started from origin 0 0. So I took it. So the draw rect method, this will get executed. So once this initialization was done, after the layout subviews, then it will get fired. So I initialized, and then layout subviews fired for both. Now the direct was fired. So this is the life cycle way. If you want to see how what is the life cycle methods, so first initially if you fire init with frame, then it will be fired. So once the initialization was done, then it will move for layout subuse. So once the layout subuse was done, then it will go for direct. If you specify something like set needs display, if I want to specify some display, then you can use it, set needs display. So these four methods we call it like a life cycle methods of a view. So then first starts with needs display, and then go for frame, and comes to set needs display, later will go for layout subuse, and after that it comes for direct is not fired. So because the direct was not found, if you use set needs display, the direct is not found. Just comment this, then your direct will be executed. So the display can be, if you use direct, then it will be fired if there is no set needs display then. So these methods I have not called in any order. It's called in an order which the iOS SDK designed for UI view. So UI view, these methods is like if you do any operation, it will be fired. So what we did in app delegate, the initially we allocated and initialized the frame. So whenever you call int with frame, so the same method is overridden, so it will be fired. So later just we added to subview. Let's see the step by step how this get fired. So which method is based on which action it is fired. Just run it. You can identify. After initialization, allocation, I called init with frame, so it's fired. Then added to subview, then changed a property, and later added a view. Oh, sorry. So first initialization, init with frame. So then added, then changed some color. So whenever the whole process is done, then if the method layout subuse is overridden, it will be fired. Yes, it is done for the two objects. Then if the direct is there, if the set needs display direct both are overridden, then it choose set needs display. If there is no set needs display method is override, so then it will go for direct. So it will do any drawings if required. So that is the way like it will be fired. So direct you have to use if you want to do any drawings on the view, or if you want to add some subviews, then you can use it. For the display purpose, whatever you want to display on your UI view, either you can go with the direct method or set needs display method. in order to do these displaying the subviews on the one view. Let's see some events.
So Suresh,
Yeah,
what did sets need display function do?
if you want to make sure some display related to the subviews of the view, then we use this display method. If there is no direct, still if you want to make something hidden yes no, then we can go for it.
Okay.
So direct or set needs display, anyone we can use it to, like it reloads the display of the specific view. That is the major one it do. So sometimes, for example, so this is basically, if you go for it, so whether is it there, and as of now UI view, I don't find anything direct and set needs display. So like it's the basic thing, set needs display. So whatever you would like to display on the specific view, so we can use this method to do that. So direct also we can use the same, so it's for rendering. As I said, like if you want to do something, like if you want to present something on the view, then we can use these methods. It's by default it's take with the same frame, whatever the frame is available of the view, or else you can use set needs display indirect. Whatever the frame you specify, within that frame if you would like to add something or to display, then we can use it. These three methods are used for rendering of presentation. So view renderings, it's a view rendering category methods, these. So let's for example, so tag, I told you that what's the use of a tag. If there are more than one object is added to a view, so if I would like to uniquely identify the subview of a view, then we have to use the tag property. In order to do that, we have to use tag. So now there are two objects are assigned to window. Let's say both are on the same frame, so one will hide the other. So that is the best thing. Blue and red, so both are the same. The blue view is hidden by red view. So I want to bring one view on tap. So if the user is, there is a certain methods like touch begin, so the class UI view is a subclass of UI responder. So UI responder is having a behavior like to identify the events, the gesture events from the user. So in order to identify the touch, if at any time if the user is tapped the view or touched the view, that event will be recognized by this method. So the method itself, you can see touches begin. So if you override this method will give a control when the user is touched the screen. So for example, let's say I touched this view or I touched the window. Now I got, this method is fired. So these are all system defined methods. If you do the specific action, then it will be fired. You like, we no need to explicitly call that method. So these methods will be fired based on that specific event. If the event is touch, if you override this method will be fired for the event. So this method itself have two arguments. One is collection of events, like collection of touches. All the touch object will be stored in an set. So I touched once, so this is a single touch. We can see one UI touch object. So this is one UI touch object is saved in set. We know the use of set property, set class. The set is doesn't allow any duplicates. So the set itself is having one touch object because I touched this window. And the event, the what's the event? The event is touches event. So because I touched the window, so I got the touch event. You can get a one event from the set. So I got that any object which is saved, and I would like to know on which view I tapped. Am I tapped on window or am I tapped on any sub view? So the touch object will have a one property called view. So this property will return you the view on which the user is touched. So this is like your touched view. So I'm getting the touched view. I'm checking that whether the user touched view the tag is 120 or not. If it is 120, I'm saying that the user is touched this blue view, blue color view. But I tapped outside. So I tapped on window. Let's see whether it gives the same or not. No, it said like I didn't touch the blue view. So then it's nothing. I touched on red view. So red view tag value is 100. Now I am checking that. Let's see. If the touch is 100, I'm changing that layout, and whatever the view I touched, I'm bringing that view to front. Is the same. I needs to identify the which view is touched. Here I can say that the red view is touched. Let's say, let me give this. Now we can see these two views. One is blue and one is red. Blue and red. So I touched red. Let's see, can I identify through code or not? So I touched a view which is the tag is 100. I touched a red view, but let's see what is given. 00414,736. What is happen? Tag value of the view. Zero. Zero. Itself is 0. Let me identify the touch view. That's a view. Mm, just begin. Yeah. So, so the way of identifying the view is like when the user is touched, we can identify the touch with touches begin method. So here I retrieved a touch object which is passed in this touches touches set, and later I find the point. Thus I'm taking a point by using a location in view. This is one of the method which returns you a point when the user is touched in the specific view. So I'm taking that the self dot window is the window object. So on top of the window where the user is touched. So which location the user is touched. So I'm taking that location point. The location point can be at anywhere the user can touch it. So after that, so in order to identify the which view is touched, I used a method called cgrect contains point. So this is the one of the method to identify a point is existed in a rectangle frame or not. So I would like to check the window is having two arguments like two subviews. So the one subview is the tag value of 120, the another subview is the tag value of 100. So here I am retrieving the view which is having a 100 tag as a subview for window. So I am retrieving the 100 tagged subview from the window and getting the frame. So this frame is contains the point or not. If it contains the current user touched point is existed in this frame, so that I can say that user is selected 100 tagged view. So 100 tagged view is the red colored view. So I'm saying that it's the red view is touched. Else, if the 120th tagged view has touched by the user, if the point is existed in this frame, then I can say the green view is touched. This is the one way of recognizing subviews by identifying the tags, and as well as checking one point is existed in a specific frame or not. This is the one way we can so we can use it. So if I want to change that current location, so this point if I want to make it to the view which the user is touched, so since we know that self dot window, so view with tag, so 100 UI view touched. So let's move this point center point to the current point, the where the user is touched. So this is basic touch point and I can use it. So here is a 120. So since we used it, now wherever I touch, my view is rotating. So if I touch the inside of the view, just I am checking that I am moving it. So this is like touch begin. This I can do. So I want some smooth flow, or I would like to see this on my touch moved. So I can use the same thing. So there is another method when the touch is moved. So you can use this method. So let's copy the same thing and assign here. So I can touch it, I can move it wherever I want. So you can see that as per that. So I can do the same thing for this view. So, but you can see whenever I moved this view, so it is changing because let's bring this view as a top. So whatever the view user is currently touched, so just move that view to the front. Bring that view to front top, so that it will be easier. So this is the one way of identifying the view and moving the position based on that touch. And you use this method should work. It should give the currently touched view, but so this is my touched view. You can navigate this view wherever you want. Mm. Touch view. This view should give that currently touched view, but it's not representing. But anyhow, this is the way like you can identify the which view is touched by the user, and if you want you can move with your finger, so whenever you want. And so if you want a smooth flow, and still you can do it by keeping these things. And let's have a method. Once the touch was done, so there is another method, touches. And so this is one of the method. This will be fired when the touch is ended. If the touch ended, so this method will be fired. So let's make it bit smooth. So if I want to make this one as like a smooth, you can use animations. So you can give any name. So if you want to give something, and you can give it, or else if I don't want to give the context, then you can add it to them. So whatever the content has been written inside of this animations, so that will become a smoother. It will be smooth while you're changing that. So if you begin any view with animations, it needs to be committed. Now if you see, there is a smooth flow, the position change. For every touch I'm changing the new position for this view, so I can able to see that. but I want bit a smooth flow. So if you keep this code between the begin and commit animations, you can find this, you can get this view. You can use these animations for this. You can apply the animations for a view. So if you want to apply animations for view, so view is having so three animations. So you can use those animations by saying that I want to give some animation. Let's see how this animation works. This is like the scaling of the view. You can scale it. Whatever the view is touched, so I would like to make that as scaled for 100%. There is a touch begin. Yeah, I touched, it's scaled. So from the original value to I moved from 1.5, means 1.5%, like I can say like 150% I moved the x. This is width and this is height wise scaling and width wise scaling. So if you apply a property called transform, so you can apply the animations like a scaling animation. So I want to rotate with the 45 degrees, so clockwise, then you should give the negative value. It's like negative angle will makes you the rotation. Now this is, it's became anti-clock. So you can see that you can move that to some different angle. So I gave it like 45 degrees. You can do the animation something like this. You can use, if you want to rotate a view, you can use the animation like a CG affine transform make rotation and apply the transformation to property called a transform property. These are 2D properties where you can apply your animations on the views if it is needed. Like we have seen scaling and rotation, there is another one is like a translation, changing position. Position change, I would like to change the x position by 10 pixel and I would like to add the y position by 200 pixel. So whatever the point the present to you maybe, that will be added x by 10 and y by 200. If I touch, the x is moved 10 pixel and y is moved 200 pixel. So you might can understand 120. So then y will be less and the x will be 100 pixel. So now you can see the x moved from here to here 100 pixel and y moved from here to here, it's like 20 pixel. 100 and 200. Here x is moved 100 pixel horizontal and y moved 200 pixel vertical. So both are happened at same time, so that we can see some different animation. So you can apply the animation some by with the help of like a transform property. If you use the property transform, you can apply the animations for the views. If you want a smooth animation, you have to keep those animation related statements between begin animation and commit animations. So these are like we could use like begin animations and commit animation. If something if needs to be transformed, if you keep those statements in between the animation block, that will be animated in smooth way. So this is like the way of animations we can do with UI views. You can customize the animations, but I'm saying that the standard animation we have. You can use the CGFN transform. So to transform the views, either rotation wise or scaling wise or position wise. These three combinations will call it as like a view animations. I hope you can understand what's the importance of a tag property. So the tag is used to identify a view uniquely, and the layout subuse method is used to lay out the subview frames where it needs to be, and initialize init with frame, which sets the frame for the graphical object which is creating, and the direct method we use to display something on the view, or if you want to draw something on the specific view. This method is related to it's one of the rendering method where you can render some data or some content or some colors where you can do it. Okay, so this is like a transform property will be used to animate a view. So I hope you can understand what's the use of touch begin and touch mode and touch end methods. These are the touch event methods. So this method will be fired when the user is touched any view. So this method will be fired when the user is moving the touches. This method will be fired when the touch ended. So these are the standard methods, the life cycle methods, touch life cycle methods, through which you can identify the user touches. So if you want to get the touched object, you can retrieve it with any object method of touches. And if you want to know the location where it touched on the view, so you have to pass the view here and you can get the point. So which point the user is touched, on which location the user tapped the view, so you can get it. So this is the one of the procedure to identify the subviews, and like you can use directly the tag values to get the current subview or any specific subview from the view. So any questions?